What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of At Home with Mark. Today is season 8, episode 15, and we got Mr. Justin Stabler on again. It's very recent that you were on, but I was like, you know what? We're fresh off the Sphere shows. I wanted to talk to you about that. So thanks for coming back on so quick, buddy.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I know you got a busy schedule, so I really appreciate you for doing this. Um, so I just wanted to talk to you because I have never been to the Sphere. I've seen the YouTube videos that everybody has seen and been like, "What the hell? That room looks crazy."
Mhm.
So I can't imagine working it for several nights in a row and how things were when you guys rolled up into that joint. So give me like your first impressions of like when you first went into that venue.
Uh, it was cool. I mean, you go in and you're like, okay, because there's nothing up on the screens when you first go in and stuff like that. So you go in and you're like, it's a really big IMAX theater, like massive, you know. But then once you start seeing the content, or would I only saw clips of like some of the movie stuff that they did, but it's pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty immersive, so to speak.
Does it feel like when you're on the stage looking back, does it feel like kind of ancient Greece, like kind of like Colosseum style? The way the seating is, it feels like you're either going to be at like a Shakespearean play or like some lion's going to come out of a secret door and attack you.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
what is that?
it looks pretty steep at least. I mean, I didn't climb up to like where front of house was or higher or anything like that. But yeah, it's definitely like, you know, angled pretty high.
Yeah. So tell me about that. Where is front of house? Like, is that like halfway up the?
I mean, I don't even think Gary could see us, like I mean, when we were doing like line check and stuff like that, like, I mean, we had obviously microphones and that sort of stuff to talk to each other, but yeah, it was pretty far up. And plus, you got the consoles in front of you too. So like, you'd be trying to look over all that stuff to kind of see down,
Yeah.
to the stage.
Man, so when you guys were loading in and everything, does like the band get there first to kind of check stuff out, or do they load everything in and then the guys would come in and like see the room?
Oh yeah, no, we load everything in like and we had to do that stuff at night too. So it was like overnight, go in at whatever time it was, 2 a.m. or something like that, and work till I guess 10. I mean, the video guys and stuff like that were working pretty much around the clock to get it all together. But yeah, we get in for a couple days ahead of them. We do our line checks, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
And then that's it. Usually Trey will beat everybody there and we'll want a noodle, but this time the band kind of came all together and they start to kind of do their thing. So I think everybody was kind of nervous about it, because the sound system's behind us, so there's definitely a delay with the sound and the band playing, and that's got to be a unique situation for them to be playing to, even with the in ears and stuff like that, because you're still going to hear it.
Yeah, man, I didn't even think about that. That's so interesting. And do you know, I mean, you may not know this, Justin, but were they like playing with any kind of click or anything with the art? I'm gathering they wouldn't, but
No, I mean, there was definitely some stuff that they, had to kind of like very time out and things like that. But no, it wasn't any clicks or tracks or anything like that. I mean, it was still a normal fish show,
yeah,
That's usually where the content has to adjust because, fish could do a 2 minute jam. They could do a
40.
40-minute jam, so like
Yeah.
they had to kind of just, go along with that kind of stuff a little bit, so.
Yeah. So when you loaded in, did you already know that like you were not gonna be able to have his rig on the stage, like that it was gonna be under or
Yeah, we had discussed that, and obviously, things are going to change once you actually are, you know, in it and that sort of thing. But we had done rehearsals prior to that, and we had our own stage, so we basically had at those rehearsals our stage, so the crew could kind of set up. We could kind of run our cables, figure out, where holes were going to be drilled in the deck, and that sort of thing. So, yeah, so we did plan that, and yeah, that's it. So
That's interesting, man. Like, I guess like this is what's cool about this is like, first of all, I never would have thought in a million years that you guys bring in your own stage. Like, I would have thought that it would have been like, oh, like that's just there, and there's like routed cables like for snakes to plug into to run like.
Yeah. Oh man, honestly, it was so nice having our own stage. Like when I did Bon Jovi and stuff like that, we had our own stage a lot of the time. And I mean, especially for when you have equipment off stage and your tech worlds are kind of set up as you know, your own thing. It's nice being
Yeah,
able to get ready and then just they roll the whole stage in once the lights go up and it's boom, your show ready.
yeah, that's
So that part of it was cool and kind of exciting to do.
yeah. Did he
Fish does so many like amphitheaters and then indoors, outdoor, it would just be impossible for us to do.
right? So when you guys do MSG, it's like that's your own stage. Like, are you guys
No,
bringing?
no, we set up a stage there, so that's
Okay,
usually yeah. This was I think the first time, or at least my first time with them,
right,
doing that sort of thing.
man. How much influence have you had on that stuff in terms of like, well, these are the kind of things that I've done that I've found that are super efficient. Like,
Oh, none. I just like they
just
tell me.
right,
I mean, obviously, I'll tell them, hey, I'm set up under here. Like this is kind of where I would want a hole drilled to like drop down some cables, stuff like that.
yeah,
And then usually it'll get changed. I'll be like, we got to drill another hole here,
right,
right
yeah.
next to it. But
Did Trey have a talk back up there to like talk to you?
yeah, so the way that's I had a mic too, not during the shows, but at least like prior to that. So if he needed tweaks or when we would kind of do our little guitar dance thing where he wants to tweak some things, like he would just talk to me and then I'd be like, okay, made that adjustment.
Yeah,
We would just go back and forth. So
nice.
it was cool.
Did did he have his normal rig under there or anything
Yeah,
different?
totally normal rig. We were primarily just using the train wreck, and then um, at one point we were gonna keep the Fender in there, and then it was like, nah, just let's do straight up train wreck. We had ISO cabs with the cabinets in there.
Hmm.
We had the Leslie in a cabinet. At one point I think we were gonna like kind of mock up the stage with all the gear and stuff like that. Just like dummy speakers and everything, but it just looked so much, with the video content behind everything, it just looked nice to have like that whole, clean stage. And when Trey saw that and, him and Mike talked and they were like, yeah, let's just do it that way. And, I thought it looked great. I know everybody loves seeing the gear, but kind of keeps that mystery part of it too.
Yeah, it looked very clean up
Yeah.
there. Do you feel like there was any like hesitancy at first? Were they like all in to like just experiment and try it?
I mean, the one thing with Trey, with him trying everything all the time, is like he definitely just dives head first, which is pretty impressive. But yeah, I know there's definitely nerves and hesitations and something to get used to. So we actually, those platforms that they were standing on actually had like speakers, like they were thumpers, so you could kind of feel the kick and the bass a little bit, and that was cool because that kind of, I think, like when they first came out, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to like set this up and this, whatever. But it it was really cool. When you stood on there and you had your in ears in, you kind of felt part of it more and not so isolated, with the in ears. And you know, I it was the right move to make.
Yeah. I'm
So
gathering Fishman had something too that could feel Mike, like more
um,
so.
you know what? That I'm not sure about.
Yeah.
I don't think he really had anything on his riser or
Hmm.
anything. I don't think he had like a kicker or a thumper on his seat or anything. I think it was just all ears for him.
Man, it'd be so interesting to hear like their mixes when they're up there, like each person's different mix, like how much of like Page Trey has comparative to Mike, or the argument all the time is people always say that Mike's too low in the mix.
Hmm.
Like that's like the age old thing.
Yeah,
But all the stuff that I saw, all the video I saw, I could hear Mike fine, and that was like somebody's iPhone,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know. So
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That community loves to complain about stuff too. So it's as we all do. Like I had complaints about the Pearl Jam record, but at first, but it's all grown on me. Um,
Yeah,
so for his rig, how loud was that under the stage? I know you said you had ISO cabs, but still.
I mean, honestly, it really wasn't bad. Me and Gary, we just took caddies, because it wasn't like necessarily a permanent thing. So we lined them with this like fiberglass stuff, which is a nightmare, but it works really great. And we lit them up and ran cables down on the inside, and it was like boom. I mean, it went from 135 dB to you know you could stand next to it and have a conversation.
Jeez,
Yeah.
dude, that's crazy.
Plus, I got my in ears on too, so I didn't.
Yeah,
But you could totally be down there, on your phone or whatever.
right.
You know.
Yeah. Was there any so for the ISO cabs, like when you guys when you're doing that with whatever band you've ever worked with, because I've never been involved with having to have an ISO cab
Yeah.
anywhere. But I remember, dude, there was a time, it might have been 2000 or 2001, that I was in college and I came, funny enough, there was a show in Baltimore. It was Weezer and Tenacious D.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh God, my buddy and I were like huge Weezer and Tenacious D fans. Like we
The guy
left
from
school.
Weezer too. We were talking earlier about like fans. The guy from Weezer is a
Huge Trey head.
yeah.
Yeah, huge Phish fan. But I remember going to see them. Now, this is early 2000s, mind you. This is 2000 or 2001. And there was no amps on stage.
Hmm.
And they were using pods.
Oh,
Like pods.
yeah. Well,
Not like ISO.
that was the beginning of all that stuff. I mean,
Yeah. So, but I remember seeing that and being like, what's going on? Why are there no amplifiers? And that's before I knew that people do the whole ISO cab thing to keep the stage volume down,
yeah,
and everything. And I don't know how long that technology and how long that idea has been going on in the music industry.
yeah.
Like, does that date back like pretty
Well,
far?
I think the ISO cap thing's been around for a bit. Like as soon as like I think the style of concerts changed, where people were doing like the cleaner stages and that sort of thing. I mean, I think people at least started putting them, whatever, at the back of the drum riser facing the other direction, kind of thing, and then just kind of moving them out. I mean, it definitely improves the monitor mixes. It improves, what's coming off the stage, so the sound guys got more, control,
Mm-hmm.
more consistency.
Do you like the I know we talked about this texting one time because I just got some in-ears and I'm trying to like figure it out.
Mm,
But it's like it's hard to get your guitar to sound like it sounds in the room through in-ears.
yeah,
And I know that like a quality microphone can help with that. Like if you've got a good ribbon mic and whatever, it's like you can make it sound warm and how it is in the room. But like how do you adjust that? Like what is your philosophy with getting it to
um,
feel good?
yeah. I mean, the feel thing is always the biggest thing. I mean, because you just don't have air behind you. I think it's really it's kind of a mindset that you just need to get into, a little bit with it. I mean, it almost becomes more like when you're in the studio, in your cab isolated, or you're in the control room playing or something like that. You just like, okay, well, it's not behind me. I mean, even Trey said with like the sustain and stuff like that, he's like, okay, well, I definitely have to use both my tube screamers all the time to get
Yeah.
what I need out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a give and take. I mean, you put amps back on stage, you got bleed through your vocal mic, you got bleed through the other mics. It's loud for whatever the bass player, or it's loud for so that has its give and takes as well. It's just kind of like what's the overall goal, and what sacrifices are you willing to make to, I think, have a better outcome, sonically for
Mm-hmm.
for the audience, and you know that sort
Right.
of thing.
Yeah. It's
Um,
always, I feel like you're right. I think it's like it is like a compromise.
yeah, I
It's
mean it always is. I mean,
mhm.
even having it right behind you,
I mean,
as it,
it feels like it's also too like if you get a good mix, it's like you're saying like working in the studio, or it's just like when you're home practicing with your favorite records in a way.
yeah,
If you've got that good track behind you, it's almost like everything blends okay.
yeah, like when your tone's there and everything's kind of sitting in that mix. I mean, you know, it's great. And then you take your ears out and everything's just like pluck, 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 pluck. You don't hear anything but sounds, drums
Right.
and vocals. Yeah.
Yeah. So has he primarily not been like stepping on both tube screamers like with the amps on stage like in the
I mean,
past?
I don't really know, I mean, because like
Mhm.
I don't have a visual in terms of like, a red light turns on every time he steps on a pedal or something like that. Because people are always asking me like, oh, that one sound effect he did. I'm like, dude, he's like layering
So
two
much.
different sounds using the expression pedal. It's not like all that's getting mapped out in live time,
Right.
that sort of thing. But he goes through phases, like
We all do.
tries to get the train wreck where it's cranked up and that's his thing. And then, you know, but that tube screamer is part of his sound. At least one tube screamer with the Ross that's the sauce. That's his thing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Is he still using DR strings?
No, Diodario.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But
I wonder how long that's been going on.
I mean, I had DR packs still like when I came on. So I think it's fairly recent. I just started doing the Diodarios mostly because I can get them everywhere. Usually from pack to pack, they're like been the most consistent for me.
Yeah.
But I actually put on a set of DR strings the other day. I was up at Adam Butchwold's shop up in Vermont, and I was doing something. That's what they keep stock as like their when you restring an electric guitar or whatever, and threw those on, and I mean they sounded great. I mean it was awesome. So
yeah, dude. So these, I don't know.
I love string. Yeah.
I bet you he would like these. I bet you he would. They're like, dude, it's the first time I put them on my guitar was like 2015. And I was shocked how much livelier the instrument sounded just by putting those on.
And
Because
it lasts a long time too. That was the part that I was surprised about. Like I used
Yeah.
their Broadway ones, and yeah, I mean it's like months later you pick it up, you're like, this still sounds like a brand new string.
It's crazy. I don't know what they're doing with that stuff, but these are the coated ones, the orbiters. I just started trying these because I used to use elixirs for a while, like when I was touring, because I didn't want to have to put new strings on all the time.
Yeah.
And those always sounded fine and they lasted a long time. But I feel like these, even like the normal ones, like the normal strings, like the classics or whatever they're called, I feel like they last a long time. And these are the coated ones. So we'll see how much mileage you get out of these.
Yeah, and I think the coated stuff, I mean, back when like I was in like doing a lot of repair stuff, it was like Elixir was really the main company, and I got the guys that I work with texting me right now, and they're just saying, they're watching this right now. But the coded stuff is, I think, come a long way, because it was pretty much just Elixir, and then I think DR was doing some stuff. Then Diodario came out with that. There was the clear tones strings that came out for a while. But yeah, I never got into it. I mean, I was just like, I'll just change my strings. Like that sort of. It always felt a little weird to me, but I think that's kind of what I was saying. Is like I think they've changed over time, where it's like kind of feels a bit more natural.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it does. It has like just like the modeling stuff. I feel like all the technology has kind of come far, further. Sure. All right, so go in, get everything set. First night, anything crazy happened first night? We were like, like because last time you had a great story about the train wreck and the how you guys had to put in the backup, and then he was like, "What's going on with the?"
Yeah.
Anything crazy from this little excursion?
Nothing super crazy. I know we did ISO cabs. I think at one point we took one of them out of the ISO cab and we just ran like 100-foot speaker cable out back. So like if you stood at the back, like off the dock, it was just like blaring guitar. But I mean, it wasn't for any other reason. It was just we needed to kind of get to it and have easier access and stuff like that. But we needed to keep it far enough away to, so it didn't affect the sound. Because we tried to put it like right off the back of the stage, and Gary was like, "Nope, that's not gonna work." Because you just hear the guitar first, and then everything follows, that sort of thing. So
Gary's Mike's tech?
No, Gary is front of house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's funny. Man, what kind of mics are on the cabinet, on the guitar cabinets? Do you know?
122s,
Okay.
were ours, and then the SM57.
Okay. Psh, that
So
mic is just,
yeah,
bulletproof. So
yeah,
can never go wrong.
yeah, exactly.
So, okay, so that's good. There was nothing eventful, nothing that just like kind of sidelined everything at all.
No, not going. Thank God.
Yeah,
That would
right.
that would have been a hard one to. Well, I mean, not as hard, I guess, because the gear was down with me, but it still would not have been. That was not a show that I wanted to go bad. You know,
Yeah. I know we talked a little bit afterwards, but I think you said which night was your favorite night of the run? I think
I
was it
thought the
4?
fourth night. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I thought the second night was really good too. Um, obviously, I see it from a different perspective. Than the ones I'm not listening to like, oh, it was this set list versus this one. I don't get into that. I'm like, I don't know. I just thought they sounded good. They looked the most comfortable.
Mhm.
Like I think as techs and guys that are working around them, you kind of feel their comfort level and that sort of thing. And
That
I
makes
felt
sense.
like fourth night, like everything just you know came together, which is good. Left on a high note.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
cool, man.
so
Are you starting to just slowly become a fan now?
they've grown on me, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm a rock guy at heart.
I know, you're just doing your job
Like
and
I was
doing it
like
well.
driving to my house today, and like I had Tool on. It's pretty far from Fish, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But hey, man, you get to hear. I mean, what's interesting about it, and like Trey will go down as one of the main influential guitarists I think in history.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um, and you get to hear good tone all night. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's the thing.
Oh,
It's
and I
like
get to work with great amps, and
yeah.
there's a whole group of people around Trey that I've been introduced to that are just you know super educated in what they do and know everything about every tube and speaker. So I've gotten like a super quick crash course on like you know here's all the stuff that's been tried and true. Here's how it's working with Trey. This is what works for Trey.
Hmm.
Now go. And then you can expand on that knowledge, which is awesome.
Yeah.
To have that.
I like his willingness to always push things further, and I think that kind of a player maybe appeals to you too. You
Oh
know.
yeah, I was just saying the other day to somebody that like, you know, I think if I was really on a tour where it was this kind of like set it and forget it kind of thing, that would be kind of difficult for me. Like this gig is really great in the sense of like it's challenging, and as much times as you might say like, oh man, I just wish it was the same every night. I don't know if that's true. I actually like kind of having a lot of those changes and those things to do because it's a lot of hours of sitting around otherwise. So
Mhm.
at least I get to open up amps and change shit and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
That's fun, dude. That's super fun. Yeah, I can't imagine you on a gig where it would be like, "All right, your crap's plugged in. Go for it."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's like
change the strings and set up
it's
your
nice for
guitar.
about a week, and then I don't know, but I mean that's how I am at home too. It's like I got so many projects going, and they're
Yeah.
working, repairing things, working on things, whatever.
Yeah. How's everything going with, like, Apollo and all that stuff? Like, what's going
Good. I
on?
mean, Apollo right now is it's because we moved from Florida to St. Louis. My wife started a new job, and so obviously that stuff is kind of taking the priority. But um, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be doing it. I got the models ready. I just gotta kind of get the company to that's gonna basically cut the guitars and stuff like that, and then I could just do all the final
Yeah.
assembly and that sort of thing. So I'd like to get something out, um, or build custom boards for people. That has seemed to be a little bit more manageable
Yeah,
in my
man.
time off or downtime to do. Make cables and lay out stuff, and you know.
Yeah.
So you know,
If you were closer, I wish you were closer, man. I would totally bring you my board and
oh yeah, it'd be
get
great.
you to help me because I have no clue what I'm doing. Are you gonna? Are you working with Kip for paint jobs and stuff for the guitars
I've always
still?
worked with Kip for
Yeah.
doing paint. Yeah, I mean he's kind of my guy. I got introduced to him through 30th Street Guitars when I was working there because Matt would have all his guitars painted there, and then Matt would do all like the relicing, I think, and stuff like that. And then me and Kip became friends, and you know, he's just my guy. I mean, his paint jobs are just so good, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah.
Cool. For people that don't know, we're talking about Kip from Star Guitars, and he's in Florida too, right?
Yeah, he's in Orlando.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So he and I have a couple of friends who've gotten stuff that live down there. They've gotten him to do some paint jobs, which piggybacks nicely onto something I wanted to get your opinion on, my friend.
Oh.
So I think I've told you about this. So like when I got my Mockingbird, my 335, my Josh
Hmm.
Williams, that was the first guitar I've had in a long time. That's like the Gibson scale length.
Hmm.
And I kind of have fallen in love with it. And to the point where I'm not like, if I bring my Strat on the gig, I'm not pulling it out of the case. I'm just playing the 335 all night.
Yeah.
And now, granted, we have in that guitar, I have my friend, our mutual friend, James pickups in that guitar,
Yeah. The
which are
best.
also the ones that are in Trey's guitar in his
Yeah.
Languedoc. And they just sound great. So the guitar sounds great. It's going through a good amp. It feels good in my hands. But what I'm debating right now is I want to get a guitar with P90s, right? And because I've never had that. I've never once owned a guitar with P90s. So I'm thinking about kind of going in the direction of like maybe like a Les Paul Special.
Hmm.
But would you lean more towards slab of wood Les Paul Special with P90s, or would you kind of more lean towards like the Les Paul, like get like a classic gold top with P90s kind of thing? Like
Like a
what's
gold top or something.
yeah, like what would you do?
Uh, I'm a junior fan. You know, I think like one of the guitars that I always wanted to have was like the single cut Sunburst, whatever, 1957 or 55. You know, like Sunburst single dog ear 90. You know,
Okay.
um,
That's a rock machine.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Part of me would just say like
Get a
kind of
junior.
I'm into the junior. Yeah, slab of wood. You know,
Yeah.
that would that would be my go-to. You know,
Yeah. I've been looking at the TV yellow.
yeah,
The reason I wanted to get the special is because I want two pickups.
sure,
I mean, granted, I love a good bridge pickup where you can roll the tone back and get it to be, what you want it to be, like to meet that happy medium to get that neck thing. But or even that woman tone.
yeah,
But I think I need a little bit more versatility. And I almost thought about like the difference between if I put that guitar in open C, if I'm going to be playing slide on that guitar,
yeah,
like maybe that like slab of wood would be a little bit more resonant. I don't know. Kind of like a telly in a way. Like I used to have a telly that I had in open C and I loved how
yeah,
that thing sounded. So that's my like sonically, I don't know where that stuff all fits in for me.
yeah. No, I mean, I would stick with what you're thinking. I mean, that sounds great to me. You know,
Yeah.
just do the two P90s, slab of mahogany.
Yeah.
Boom.
That's what I'm thinking.
You know,
Totally.
so
Yeah. All right, cool. So then let's kind of change gears here. So now that the Sphere shows are behind,
mhm.
are there any like thoughts on like do they want to do things differently on live stages now since they've experienced that, or is it like
Yeah. I mean, I think we're gonna start experimenting with that for sure. You know, I know going into Tab, he wanted to kind of continue that trend a little bit and just kind of feel it out. Um, so you know, yeah, you know,
maybe?
yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for them, obviously, but
No,
and
no.
obviously things could change in the next 5 minutes, but yeah, I think we're gonna definitely experiment with it a little bit because it was pretty successful
Hmm. Did you
in
have
a
to
lot of
do,
ways.
I don't think we've ever talked about this, Justin, but did you have to like when you took this gig, did you ever have to go back and like look at his old rigs to kind of familiarize yourself with like the lineage of what he's kind of gone through at all?
Uh, no, I mean I've kind of done that as we've gone, or sometimes I've had to go to him and be like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about when you refer to this,
A 97
like,
rig.
yeah, like, or I talk to Tyler a lot, like who rebuilt the whole 90s rig or whatever. And I've asked him a lot of questions because he's just done such extensive research. And at least then I have like a basis around like, okay, like, so he was kind of doing that. And then I can kind of fill in the gaps from there. But no, honestly, the fans probably know more about the old rigs than I do.
Right.
I mean, I kind of came in and, we started fresh with new rack. We had the pedal board thing happen. He had the train wrecks at that point, you know. So the whole Comet error and, I think trying like the Bogners and whatever else he had through that time, it was already sort of behind us.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. And then so the Fender, that's just a deluxe, right?
yeah, it's just his deluxe. We just wanted to, we have his like speaker cabinets that he really digs. They're like the Spruce 112,
Mm-hmm.
the oversized cabinets, and they just sound awesome. And so he's like, I really want to use it with that. So instead of like having like, the combo amp and I run a speaker cable out of it, I just had Mojo Tone make all the head cabinets that I could just slide the deluxe in. The reverb sits right in the head case. And then
Oh,
you can
that's
just use it with
dope.
the speaker cabinet. Yeah, it's
Okay. So you just rehouse the chassis
yeah,
into
that's
the
it.
yeah. That's
To me,
dope,
it's
dude.
way cooler because then you can just use it with, whatever cabinet you want,
Yeah.
you know, that sort of thing.
Man, I still think I would love to hear him play through a two rock. Like I think
Oh,
if he
yeah, the rock would be great.
yeah, if he played through like a custom reverb,
Hmm.
I can imagine that being like such a great clean sound for him.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
I mean, I know, like, we were experimenting with using one of the Comets that are loaded up to be like super clean
mhm,
platform. And me and Gary listened to that the other day, and we are like, "Wow, this sounds really great." And
yeah.
so we'll see. We'll see once the man gets to try it.
Mhm. Are those comments like pretty chimey?
They can be, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you can get them there. They could be super aggressive too. I mean, so they're great amps.
Did they break? I mean, what's the wattage on the ones he had or he has?
Those are 60 watts.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Yeah,
Damn. That's pretty loud.
yeah. Because the train wreck's only like 35, 40 watts.
Yeah.
It's not. Everybody always thinks it's like, oh, it's 100 watt. I was like, it's not 100 watt. It's not even 50 watts. You know,
Well, what's funny too, like I hear people say I've never played through a 100-watt amp. I don't think. I don't think I have.
it's really loud
Yeah. But
back
like
there. But
aren't the dBs kind of negligible between like 50 watts and 100 watts? Like it's not like
I don't know, man. I mean, no, I've never like stuck a meter up there to know, but like a 50 watt, you can kind of stand them for a bit. Those 100 watters are,
Maxell tape,
yeah.
like blowing your hair off.
If you got a master volume, I mean, sure, but again, still like the 50 watters, you can push a little more, you know, and get more of that saturation and that sort of thing out of it. Um,
Hmm.
yeah,
I always hear people talk about like super reverbs and how loud they are, but how like you got to really crank them up to do what they're supposed to do.
yeah.
Kind of.
Daryl Hall, when I was teching for him, had two twin reverbs, and they were both on 5.
Uh,
It's loud.
that's an 80-watt amp, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was just clean,
Ugh.
very loud.
Yeah.
John Oates used to always like come over during sound check because Daryl wasn't at sound check, so Oates would run the sound check and that sort of thing, and he would like come over and like turn them down. So every time before the show, I'd always have to double check because Oates would do it without me looking. I was like, "Yo," he's like, "Just see if Daryl will know." I was like, "He's gonna know."
That's so funny.
I was like, it changes the air pressure behind."
Oh man. Well, those, I mean, dude, I had one of those. I tell you, I had a 1971. That was my rig when I was at Berkeley. I had a twin reverb, 1971 twin reverb, and I took 2 power tubes out of it. First of all, heavy as hell. Like
Yeah,
carting that around Boston was not fun. But like it was with taking the 2 tubes out, I could get that thing nice and creamy, like
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
at decent volumes. Like it wasn't bad, and it was a great sounding amp. It's just it was so heavy, I didn't want to carry it around anymore, man.
Yeah.
It's
That's
back.
how I like. I mean, like one of my favorite amps is a Bogner Shiva, but they are like heavier than all hell. You know, I mean, it's probably one of the heaviest amps I've ever picked up. Really,
Mm.
especially if you get the combo ones. You can't gig with that. I mean,
Right.
I guess if you have a tech that's doing it for you, you just make them do it. But
That's your
yeah,
job, Justin.
yeah, yeah.
Is that what you have at home? Is that what the amp that you have at home?
I have a Bogner Ecstasy at home,
Okay.
so it's kind of their flagship or whatever. But
Right.
yeah, it's one of my. I mean, that's one of my favorite amps too. You know, I'm a big Bogner fan in general.
Right.
Marshall and yeah,
Yeah. Are you a huge fan of the Blues Breaker?
yeah, I like the Blues Breaker. Yeah,
Yeah. Those amps are like I've only played through a couple, and that were old ones, and I was very impressed with how those amps kind of compress in on themselves in a good way, not in like a like strangle everything.
right.
But that's what I noticed about it that I was like, oh, it's like that under your finger feeling good thing.
Yeah,
Um, and then that's like I haven't played through many Marshalls, but like playing through an old Plexi would be probably on my bucket list. Like playing it like through a 412
yeah.
to
But the Blues Breaker with like a hollow body humbucker, I mean, you're gonna get a great sound out of that. You
yeah. I've never had the chance to like I don't know anyone who had a Marshall. Like besides my buddy had a JCM 900
Yeah, but
and he
that's
hated that amp. And I was
yeah,
like, yeah, it's not a great amp.
yeah,
So, but I mean the 800 obviously is, when you see all the hair
more
metal
classic.
dudes.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right, so moving forward into like the summer tour and stuff, we might see some changes, possibly. We're not going to
yes, I
speak for the
can't speak
band.
for
Yeah.
just until the next decision's made, or whatever we try next. But it
Yeah.
seems like we're gonna maybe at least try it, give it a shot. So you see some of that stuff because you got some tap stuff coming up.
Yeah.
Um, that I think we're gonna use it as like, okay, is this working or do we go back to on stage and that whole thing?
Mhm. Trainwreck's
So
still staying with Tab, like, that's still the main
yeah,
go-to?
same rig. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's really more not that drastic of changes.
Yeah. Man, it's like, I don't know if did you have monitors under the stage so you could see, like, the content, like, the video and stuff? Like
Yeah, so our broadcast company Gateway, yeah, they loaded us up with TV screens.
that's cool.
Looked like when you go into like NASA or something, you got all the TV. It wasn't that many TV screens, but yeah, we had like the actual broadcasts that people were seeing, and then we each had a camera on our guy, so I could just look at Trey all night, which was
Right.
actually cool, like to kind of be able to visually see him that close up from that perspective, because it was kind of angled down or whatever. But to get that, and then the broadcast, just to kind of feel like you're part of the show a little bit.
Yeah. Some of those visuals, dude, were like I mean, like you said, it was so immersive. Like, it feels like if you are one of the cats that are way up high and you're on a steep incline, don't be doing too much of like the like I feel like
Oh,
I
I know.
always
It was
get
like, oh my
dizzy.
god, how many fans are we gonna like lose off these balconies here? Because it was just like scary,
Yeah.
especially if you're looking up and you're enjoying the show, so to speak. And
Yeah, for all we know, Drew Carey lost his mind and
apparently,
um that I feel like when I saw like the visuals for that, and even like with like the stuff that YouTube is posting, it's like I mean, it's a show, right? Like that U2 show, I'm sure it was the same set list every night. And
yeah, I think they did, one show and then they repeated it 40 times or whatever, which
yeah, which
is
is
a lot of time.
fair and
Yeah,
fine.
totally.
But like rolling up in there like a band like Phish where you're like, it's different every night. That's gotta be like tough to figure out a way to like keep it interesting like every night,
Oh
4
yeah.
nights in a row. You know what I mean? Like that's
Well,
nuts. That's a lot
well,
of stuff.
I would have to imagine it's a lot of content to come up with for a band like that, especially
Right.
a band that doesn't do content that just rolls with lights. You got somebody like Chris Kuroda, and now we're doing all video. It was like,
Yeah.
well, let's see how this goes. You know,
Yeah.
I think they did a great job.
That's why I like it's like I really want to go. Like if Pearl Jam plays there, I'm like I want to be there.
Yeah,
But I'm like, what are they gonna do? Because they're the kind of band that's like, ah, screw it, we're not gonna. Because they're the like Phish, Grateful Dead of the rock scene. Like they
yeah,
change their set list every night. They do their best to keep it interesting. They look at what did we play the last time we were here? Let's
yeah,
not repeat. You know, they're like that. So people tour with Pearl Jam too. Um, but it's, you know, I don't know what they would do. But like when they released their new record, my buddy and I went to the movie theater for like they did like a 2 listen through of their album.
hmm
And the first one was in complete darkness. And then the second one, they had all these crazy visualizers. So I'm like, I guess they could do cool stuff like that. And I saw they just went on tour this past Saturday, was their first show of the tour that goes through, like they're coming here in September. I don't know how much further past that they're going, but
yeah,
their stage, like it feels like a show now in a way. And I don't know how much that stuff changes as you age as an artist too. You know what I mean? To make it a little bit easier on you.
yeah.
I don't know, but regardless, I mean, I feel like that's
You
such a
know,
cool room.
yeah, I think it gives a band an opportunity to just do something that they're not going to take out on the road, so to speak. Like you're never going to get to do that. So it's kind of this like one-time event, step out of the comfort zone, do something really spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, Fish is always into that. You see how many gags they do, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're a perfect band to do something like the Sphere. You know, I think Roger Waters would be another killer show to see there.
Oh my
You
God, yeah.
know,
Can you
something
imagine
like
seeing
that.
like the wall?
Yeah,
They did the wall there.
yeah, like that would be
Jeez.
incredible too. And you know, U2 is a great band for something like that.
Tool would be cool.
Tool would be, yeah. That's actually the name that I've heard come up the most, like in terms of like what people would want to see there. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think they could do some really great stuff.
When's the last time you saw them?
2005. Went with
Oh wow.
I went with my dad. It was like the Lateralis album came out. Um, yeah, we saw them in Philadelphia.
Man,
Yeah,
that's a cool show, man. I've never seen them live. I've heard it's such a good show.
yeah,
But
it's pretty awesome. So
yeah,
I've never seen a Perfect Circle or any of them, but
right. Are you into the like Foo Fighters and stuff? Like do you
I
like
like
Josh
the
Freese?
yeah, like Foo Fighters for me is like I didn't like the Learn to Fly and the earlier stuff. I wasn't into them at that time, but as I've gotten old, like I feel like every album they put out just is better and better and better and better and
Yeah.
better. Yeah, yeah,
I'm
I'm a Dave Grohl fan. You know,
Yeah. I didn't even know who Josh Freese was until like, and I'm like, dude, I'm under a rock. That dude's played on so many records,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like so many records. And I didn't know he was like, you know, worked with the Perfect Circle and stuff. And
yeah,
he's a monster player, dude.
yeah, super monster. Yeah,
It's nuts. Like there's so much talent on that stage. And like that's what I think it's so weird about these different genres and these different bands. Like if you're talking Phish or you're talking Foo Fighters or whatever, like it gets overlooked at like the musicianship with those cats too.
hmm
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I know that Trey is an amazing guitar player and I know Fishman's a great drummer and all that stuff, but like when you look at Josh Freese, I'm like, whoa, dude, that guy has so much facility and he played with Sting.
yeah,
It's like there's so many different styles of music that guy can play, you know, from Perfect Circle to Sting. You could just say that.
right.
It's,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. That covers a lot of it. Yeah,
Yeah. It's nuts. But it's nice for you. It's cool. What I think is cool about what you're doing is like you're surrounded by, I mean, I'll just say it. These dudes are legends in this scene. Like
hmm
they are legends in the jam band world. And everybody looks up to them. So it's like to be able to like be in a crazy venue like that, like you guys just did that, and like, okay, now what? What's the next thing? On to the
right.
next. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Just like checking a box. It's just nuts, dude. All right. Let's before we wrap up and stuff, I want to ask you a little bit about so like, are you gonna like besides like Apollo, like I know you said something about building boards, like are you gonna get into doing that where you get hired to do that stuff when you have
Yeah,
time?
I think so. I'm trying. So my wife's job, she works at a company called Gateway, and they do like our broadcast stuff. They supply a lot of the lights for the Fish show, and obviously for many other artists and that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm hoping like somewhere on their campus or their facility to kind of eventually have a little shop space, so to speak, and be able to probably start doing more rig building. And then, like I said, like with the Apollos, get it where it is something that's basically shipped to me. Like it's my design, it's all my stuff, but they're cut, painted, and then I can load them up, wire them.
Mm-hmm.
Time wise with the touring and stuff, it's just there's no way I'm going to be sitting in a shop cutting wood and
No.
that sort of thing. So if I want to do something like that, it's going to have to be more streamlined, or work with somebody like Adam up in Vermont that's doing the circle guitars and say, or he's doing the Languedocs now for Paul. So to kind of let them be build it and then get it out to dealers and that sort of thing. So
Was that, I don't really know. I know of that stuff happening with circle guitars and everything with the Languedocs, but like, is that something just so like because of demand? Like Paul wanted to be able to build more guitars and.
I honestly don't know the real reason. I don't know. I don't really want to say too much, only because I just don't know if it's a demand thing, if it's getting ready for some sort of retirement. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what direction that's going, or maybe it's just to expand too.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity to do that. It's a great relationship that they share in terms of like Adam built these beautiful acoustic guitars for Trey, and Paul built these amazing electric guitars that now are, I mean, it's like Jimmy Page's Les Paul. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like
man.
this historic thing. So I mean, whatever the reasons for, I think it's a pretty kind of beautiful relationship of that kind of emergence, especially both being in Vermont. Like it couldn't be better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Kind of, it's all in house in a way,
Yeah,
all at home.
yeah, yeah. It's just extended. The family has grown, and you there's all these people involved, and kind of all working as a team.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's
Yeah.
cool.
When I had
And
Mark,
Alan builds a great instrument, so for him and Paul to team up, it's going to be like, I mean, those guitars are going to be great.
yeah, I know when I had Marcus Rezak on, he had his acoustic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think he had just gotten it, right?
Yeah, and he like just played a little bit, and I was like, wow, that thing is like really speaks. It's like it sounds like an old guitar would, like an old Martin
Oh
kind
yeah,
of thing. Is that? I mean, that seems to be the vibe. Am I wrong in that? Like that's kind of
Adam's
like,
guitar. I mean, hey, we put it up against Trey's old Martins. I
man,
mean, I mean, the Martins have a thing, right? Like if you put a microphone in front of them, and stylistically, there's a thing about them that's really cool.
mm-hmm.
But man, they don't sound as good as the circle guitars. I
Wow,
mean, Adam's acoustics really sound great.
that's amazing, dude. That's amazing. So you know what's interesting too is I went to a show a couple weeks ago in DC. There's this band called the Brothers Landreth. They're a Canadian band.
Yeah, I know that.
You knew about those cats?
Yeah.
And they re-released their first record all acoustic. They did like an acoustic version, like the 10th anniversary
Oh,
kind of
cool.
thing. And so their show was the first set. They came up and they played the whole first record straight through,
Mm-hmm.
how they arranged it for the acoustics. And they had these custom shop Martins. And when I did my gear gab with them, I was asking them about it. And they had those. Have you ever seen those DPA mics that like clamp onto the body of the instrument? And it's like almost like a little lav mic that comes over.
What did I just see? It was like, I think it was like an Instagram thing too, but it was like one of the producers or the engineers for Fleetwood Mac, and I think they were showing this same sort of. I think it was those mics that you're talking about, but it's like a little thing that clips, almost like it looks like on the inside of the bottom of the sound hole, or something like that.
No,
Or
this clips like picture like a C clamp. And so it like clips onto the body of the like the upper shoulder,
oh,
and then it has a little arm like a gooseneck that comes over, like
oh wow, now
miking it kind of over. I don't know what fret, but it wasn't like right over the sound hole. But um it was interesting to see they were running direct and they had those.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that they brought all these like crazy microphones when they went on tour in Europe, and it just was too boomy in the low end. It just like stuff was not sitting right. And they like thought that they were going to have all these great tones using these great mics. And then they got these and they're like, dude, these are the best sounding acoustic microphones I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
And I would say, I would agree. The only thing that's weird is, it's clipped up, but I asked them, I was like, does that feel like it gets in your way? Do you see it in your periphery and it bugs you? And like, no, I don't even notice it.
Huh.
But yeah, check it out
Interesting.
because
No, I don't think I've seen that. I mean, in my opinion, yeah, like some of the best stuff I've heard is actually Trey's acoustic in the way that we have it done. That was before I came on board. We have basically three signals that get kind of panned out and does this thing. I think it's like a Neil Young kind of, like he does something similar as well, but it sounds the most like natural, and I'm sure that sounds really like natural as well. Kind of being able to blend the two. Just doing the piezo thing, it kind of can get a little squash sounding, and it
mm-hmm.
doesn't cut the same way. It compresses differently and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that's cool. I'll have to check out those mics. I haven't seen those.
yeah, they're cool. So the circle guitars, that's the thing you're talking about that clips inside the sound hole.
It's not circle guitars related. It's like I don't even know what the brand was. I thought it was like from the way that you're describing it, but yeah, it's like this little mic that clips in. And I know like Fishman and all them have like tried to do like the blending things, and
Mm-hmm.
typically everybody has like just feedback issues with them. And you got to kind of use them, I think, sparingly.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, what's the point if we can't use them enough, kind of thing.
Right. Well,
So
I can't get a sound hole. I can't get a feedback buster from my grandfather's guitar that I had refurbished because the sound hole is smaller than a normal acoustic. And they don't make them smaller. So I ended up getting one of those LR bags, like venue things that has like
mhm,
a notch filter. So you can kind of mess with like if you starting to feedback, you just kind of turn it up a little bit and
right.
catch it right where it's because I kind of like it when it's like right on the verge of feeding back, especially
Hmm.
when you're soloing over stuff. But it works. I mean, for what it is, but it doesn't sound as good as as the stuff that I've heard people pull off on stage, like Trey or like Oliver Wood from the Wood Brothers. That was the best
Yeah.
acoustic sound I've ever heard when I've been to a
Yeah.
show. I don't know. I'm like, how are they doing this? It's so loud and it's not feeding back, and he doesn't have a feedback buster in there. Like, I don't get
Yeah.
what they're doing.
No.
So it's trickery. You guys are trickery. That's what it is. um, anything else? Like, what else is going on, man? Like, before we head out, like, when are you going back out with the band?
Well, we're out now with Tabs. With Tab, it's going to be a four-piece.
Mhm.
Doing a bunch of shows. We were out in California. Unfortunately, it got canceled due to high winds.
I
Like right
saw
before
that.
we were going to go on. So we had 2 days, and we're in Chicago next. So I just kind of raced home real quick because I'm in the middle of moving around and doing a bunch of stuff. So came home, saw my little guy, saw my wife, and then gonna head up to Chicago tomorrow.
Nice.
So and then that next couple weeks just doing the tap thing, and then Trey's got some symphony dates coming
Oh,
up that
neat.
he's gonna do. So that would be my first time doing those. I think Boston's one of them, and Washington maybe, DC,
Oh,
possibly.
really?
I
Okay.
don't know. Don't quote me on that.
Right. That's cool. So
Yeah,
is he playing with the Pops in Boston?
yeah,
Hell yeah. That's
yeah.
cool, dude.
That's gonna be pretty amazing.
That's gonna be sweet. Where is
So,
that show? Is it like in the symphony, like
oh
the Pop
man,
Symphony? Oh man.
I
I know
mean,
you.
I'm sure it's wherever they normally would play or something like that. But
Symphony Hall.
yeah,
That was my hood, man. That's
Symphony
right where
Hall.
I
That might
live.
be. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. That was literally on my block where I lived when I was at Berkeley. It was like right around the corner up the street. Symphony
Oh,
Hall was right there. It's such a cool little neighborhood. And Berkeley's all right there too.
yeah,
And there's a
I love.
bunch of great food in that area.
Awesome.
So yeah, man.
I like good food.
Yeah. And then the summer is like that's already planned out probably too. You guys are gonna be pretty busy, I'm gathering.
Yeah, I mean, it's like whatever it is, 6 or 7 weeks of stuff, and then we got Denver again. It's
Hmm.
always great. That's where I had the big train wreck incident last time. So
So
planning
there's
on
no
coming back
rain.
and being more successful with that. But yeah,
Sweet.
that's it, man. So it's a busy year.
Good, man. It's good to stay busy, man.
Yeah,
I know it
absolutely.
sucks to be away from your family, but you know, it's
Yeah, it is, but it's a good job to go to, and I like what I do, and yeah, it's all about balance. And
yeah.
keep working at finding that balance all the time.
Yeah, man. Well, that's great. Well, dude, I super appreciate you doing this. I know you're tired and you need some rest
Oh, it's all good. I'm
and
just gonna
everything.
put the laptop down and crash out for a minute.
Well, everybody, you know, I appreciate everyone hanging out. Go see Phish on the road. If you've never seen Phish, be like Drew Carey. Never see them and then want to stick things in a blender. That's all you got to know. Go find the quotes. I'm not going to repeat what he said, but it
No, I
was
don't think you can repeat what you said.
but it's very interesting. And he was on what was that late night show he was on? Oh man, what is her name? The new late night host that's after Steve Colbert. Somebody remember this? Put it in the chat. She's a hilarious comedian. Molly Tomlinson. She has like a show and he was on there and she's like, "Can you please tell me what this whole Phish thing is about?" And he like came out like in behind the podium thing and like did this huge speech about
Oh my
Phish.
god! I'm
But
glad it blew his mind. That's
right.
cool.
But it's interesting because like as somebody that has been to a bunch of Phish shows, and I haven't been in a while, and I'm going to change that because we need to hang at some point. But it is an experience, and like if you've never experienced a scene like that, and if you've never experienced music like that outside of going to like see, I don't know, like jazz fusion for the first time,
Yeah,
it's that kind of thing where you're like, first you might not understand it, but then you're like, okay, why is every single person in this room like just sucked into it? Like, what is going on? And then you all of a sudden get it. You're like,
yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah. It's the exposure of it, and
Hmm.
I mean, I tell everybody you should at least go see one show. I mean,
Yeah.
just to see the light show alone is something worth seeing. You know,
Yeah,
um,
for sure.
or if you're gonna go see the Sphere for the first time, it'd be a cool one to catch.
Yeah. James just put this in there. All three of us should meet at the Sphere for something.
That sounds like a really good plan. I
that
like that.
does that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah,
All right. Well, Justin, dude, thank you again. Everybody else, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and we'll see you next time.
awesome. Thank you.